So here we go. I've started the recording. This is Design 300. It's our lecture. We're at noon today because I had an opportunity to meet with the son of Chauncey Spencer, who was civil rights activist, leader, pioneer in said 301. Oh, well, my gosh, I guess I did the wrong one. Sorry about that. Um, and anyway, got a chance to meet with him and hear a little bit about the history of his father in aviation and integration of the armed services and things like that through pilots and what he got to do. So it was super informative. And away we go. So Design 300 lecture. It's the one that I've moved and we're on Google Meet. So there we go. And today, again, is just our midterm review. So don't really have anything planned to lecture on. This is just an answer questions time. And if you don't have any questions, I'll go through some of the prior work and show you what some things of interest in some of the work in the midterm folder. So I'll open it up for questions right now. Anybody have questions? Okay, so I'm not seeing questions popping up. So what I'd like to do is go over some of these and just make some comments as to what I'm seeing. So let me go ahead and download this one and then open it up. It'll be easier to work with. And I don't have annotation tools on here. It would be good if I was doing this in something else, but let's take a look at this. So as I review these, I always look to see what's supposed to be done. And it says show evidence that you have read and understood the assigned materials, which is about water. And so the first thing I do is I look over here to find out whether you've hit the links and looked at the materials that were given to you in the readings. And this one I see a lot. And I can even follow these links to water distribution in pipes and talk about copper tubes and piping materials. And so go, yep, that was one of the ones that we looked at. And drinking water systems. This is a really good one right here, actually. It's blanked out right now, but this is right here. Why are drinking water systems crucial? Serving high quality water, so that's good to know. So I look at these, and then I look at these to see if they're really giving the idea about how water works. So this is one, and I recognize it from one of the readings, so I know that that was there. You might be asking questions, well, why are they doing all this? Why pump all this up and then let it come down? Why not just pump it? Those are some really good questions that you might be asking, and there are very good engineering reasons for it. And if you become a hydrologic engineer or an MEP, mechanical electrical plumbing engineer, or a hydrostatic engineer, or just a water system designer, you'll eventually be told about all that. Okay. And I really like this one because it's showing an Archimedes pump, which is really cool. They're showing just enough pump pressure to bring it over to here. And then they use an Archimedes pump to bring the water up. And then, of course, they can do that at a slow rate and fill this up. And then when the water is needed, you have a constant pressure until it totally depletes this reservoir at the top. So it's a way of buffering, so you don't have to have such a big pump. You can have a smaller pump that's running constantly. and the positive displacement pump is very, very efficient. So this one's really cool. I like this one. I like to be able to talk about it. Okay, showing that water comes and it's part of site work. This is nice, showing water and site work. So this one has a lot that is cool about it. This one's also really cool because it brings a couple of other items into it, and this is nice because this is a new one for me. I hadn't seen this graphic before, and it really does explain a lot when you look at it, and it's well marked. Obviously well marked as to what I'm looking at here. This is well marked to what I'm looking at here. And this is well marked to what I'm looking at. It would be nice to have a little bit more about why is pH balance important and what should it be at. So if you have perfectly neutral water, that's actually bad for your pipes. It'll corrode them. Usually you have slightly alkaline or slightly acidic water, normally to a little bit toward this acidic. Not so much down to number 6 on the pH scale, usually in the 6.25 to 6.75 range. If it's perfectly at neutral, it's too corrosive. Another thing that I like about this one is that it's got keywords, because keywords will allow you to do more research later on. Now, some of these, I don't know what customer advances means. I don't know what CIAC means. So those would be kind of cool. Hydrogen power, that's actually, pH is actually an alkali balance. But there's some good stuff in here to be looking at. pH balance is about a chemical reaction. But this is overall really quite good. And I like the fact that there's links and there's multiple ones, so it shows some depth. Another nice one. I'm not sure what value line is. Let's go take a look. And, oh, that's right. Now I remember. We're talking about capital spending and growth opportunities and how you look at it. So value line is an investment capital firm. So that's really cool. So that would be good if it said something like value line investment capital. That would be cool. Waterboards.California. That one is pretty obvious, but the term waterboarding could be misconstrued as to what you're talking about. But these are really good. These are all key things that you would want to know about as you're trying to figure out what your work underground is going to look like. And this is really typical. I've had to work in these underground vaults quite often. There was one that I refused to work in because it was about 30 feet deep and the water pressure was 250 psi. And if one of those things sprang a leak, there'd be no way for me to get out, period. And so this brought back some interesting matter. And I've worked in these that were just fine too. So that's kind of cool. One of the more interesting ones I worked in was at the pump station at Cal Expo, the big fountain that you can walk around in and things like that. Well, there's a great big pump house down below that. And they were looking at retrofitting that, and I got to do some work with that. So that was really cool. So these are good. This is really good. Got plenty of links, plenty keywords, and so this is showing some more nice work. So I like to see this type of stuff happen. This one's really nice, and I think I mentioned before that these empty spaces make me think that this person only looked at 3 things. Maybe it could have been more. This makes me think that there was more to look at that just wasn't there. So it would be good to erase these or remove or delete these rows so that I have a better feel that you've done an appropriate amount of work. And then just eye wise, an empty spot like this again makes me think that whatever was here that didn't get done might have been supposed to be put here. And so bringing these together and maybe moving this one a little bit over and putting this maybe above would have been a way to really take up that room better. However, some of the really nice things about this are that they're very clear and easy to see the differentiation between them. These were outlined. They're very clear and crisp, so the snips worked very well where they came from. There's nice border separation so that you can see it very easily. So those are some of the things that I appreciate on this one. This one's really cool because it's got a lot of system work and we don't think about gas so much. Again, it would be cool if these two were sort of missing, removed. But this is really kind of cool, and I like this gas gathering system and a compressor station. And wow, a gas mine. You don't think of it as being called that, but that is what it is. So this is really cool. Natural gas is pretty interesting in how it gets moved around. And natural gas is often a very, very clean from the point of view of carbon emissions, but the production wells are very dirty from the point of view of methane. And there was a really nice nice interview on NPR the other day about the difference between methane and CO2 when it does get into the atmosphere. Methane is not as prevalent as CO2, but it goes away. But it goes away very quickly, and the CO2 doesn't. So what's up in the air right now, we have to scrub it and get it out if we're going to think of improvements. But the methane you can hit really quick, and it goes away quickly, so that if you can get the 2 to 3% of the problem gone from methane, then maybe that's what should be attacked. So that's kind of cool. So this was another nice one, and I like the way that these are brought out and very easy to see. Okay, this is a little bit disconcerting to the eye right here, where there's just that little bit of a hair of white showing there, but it looks cool. I think if they all had this little line art around them, it would look groovy too. But I like this one, and believe it or not, I sit here and I look at these diagrams and go, oh, that's really cool. And sometimes I remember working on systems like this. I was a pipe and water and gas and tank person, and I did work on gas fields and oil fields and nuclear power plants as part of my work in industry. And so these things, I got these things sort of stuck in my brain, so when I look at one of these, I sort of know what's going on with it. So this was a very nice one also. This one is just naturally nice looking. The person who did this one has just an excellent view for graphics. The colors that were chosen sort of match out with these. So that was really nice. I don't know if these were all sometimes finding these types of images that have a quote clear background, so they sit right on top of it, really pop out. They're hard to find those, so I don't know where this one was found. It was really, really a good one. But this is just a very, very pleasing to the eye presentation. There's plenty of space around so that I can pay attention to what's of interest. And it's definitely showing what those systems are like and some places to go to get information. And I like the keywords down here. Okay, this one's very cool. And look, steel cord, aluminum wire. That's really something else. That's something to really think about. Why is there steel in the middle and aluminum around the outside? Don't really know why. You might also notice the hatch. It's material coated hatch. So that's the typical hatch for aluminum. That's the typical hatch for steel. That's really kind of cool. Um, these are good to know about. Underground cable markers. These things are often filled with PCBs, which are not very good to have. And so this is pretty nice also. And there's some good visual spacing here. It's actually nice that these are not in line, that you have a large, small, and they're offset from each other. That's a um, very good visual kind of style of laying things out. They also have nice boundaries around them. And again, the one thing I would say is maybe do away with these two rows and maybe put in some keywords. But this one's very nice. All the ones that you're seeing on here would receive full credit or did receive full credit. Now, sometimes there's a few things missing that get lost. So those can be brought up and made clear later on. But this is also a nice, I like this type of a layout where you have one large one that takes up about half of the visual space, and then the other one is cut in half the other way. This is a very nice way of organizing. A little bit chunky that this brings this to my site a little bit hard, just because it's bigger than the other ones with that little space at the bottom. So maybe there's an actual, welcome in, Nasma. Maybe there's an actual line there that you could delete and it would bring that back up and in. But these are cool. There's some power lines. There they are right there. They're the high energy power lines. That's really nice. This is talking about a substation, which is right here. And so this is all tying together very, very well. Very nicely done. I do like to leave the instructions here so that somebody who is reading this knows what it's about. Knows that, oh, I'm presenting material that was given to me and that I had to know about. That's kind of cool. Okay. And then when we look at these, conductor 1 and conductor 2, sort of like, okay, I'm not positive what those are about, but these are, okay, so these are conductor materials used for transmission. That's really cool because this is a material resource class. And then this one goes probably to just what material conductors are all about. So this is really showing some good secondary research that went on with this one. So I kind of like that. That one's really nice that there was some other work done, and what is there to underground, and you can go back and really look at some of this stuff, and you can see that this is where this came from. So it's good. And this one, so you can tell that they actually did read it because those show up. Oh, those actually showed up on a different one. Those showed up on this one. Okay, so those are really good. Here's the example where those extra ones were taken out and then these are brought back in. I like that these materials were brought forward very specifically, that these are important materials to electrical power distribution. This brings into that whole idea between AC and DC, and we think that there's, oh yeah, I've got AC at my house. Probably, except for your air conditioner, probably 70% of the power use in your house is direct current. TVs, refrigerators, most washing machines, clothes washers, computers, Lights, many, many, many lights. Almost all the LED lights, all the fluorescent lights are actually DC. Tons and tons of stuff is actually direct current. Little space heaters, most of those are direct current. Just so much. Your phone and the charger on your phone. And so every single one of those devices has a transformer in it that changes the AC current to a DC current. And so there's a lot of thought, that's the whole idea behind the Tesla battery wall, Tesla power wall. That why don't we have electrical buses? That's what they call it, or electrical wiring through our house that goes to direct current. That's a great question. And you should know that there are many buildings throughout the world that do that. They have a specific DC bus running through their facility and a specific AC bus running through their facility. And you have to realize that every time you convert power from one form to another, you lose some. It's called efficiency. So if you've got solar panels on your roof, they're generating direct current, and they go down the wires and they get put out onto the grid. Well, they get transformed into alternating current. And not only that, they get changed from about 1 volt up to 24 volts. There's a loss. 24 volts to AC 120. There's another loss. And then they're out on the grid, and they come back to your house. And then from the 120, which is actually probably 240, they get changed again. And then they get changed one more time. So if every single one of those is 90% efficient, you've got 0.9 times 0.9 times 0.9 times 0.9. Let's see what that turns into. 0.9 times 0.9 times 0.9 times 0.9. I'm only getting 65% of the power from my from my solar panels. So there's some reasons not to be transforming back and forth. Okay, so these Tesla battery walls, where you go straight from the solar panel to a battery at the same voltage, you're getting all of it, almost all of it, and then you transform it once, you're getting, maybe 90% instead of 65%. So that's something that's electricity reaching homes. So this is all interesting stuff, and this idea of AC versus DC is crucial. So happy that somebody brought that up. And you can do a lot of research on that later on. But it's really, really cool. Okay, so those are some comments on what I see as some really nice work through these presentations. And I think you'll probably see it most on these ones too. So this person has just an excellent grasp of visual layout. Just a wonderful graph. When you look at that, your eyes are just drawn right to this and drawn right to this and drawn right to this. And I don't know how to do that personally. I'm a mechanical engineer, and a tic-tac-toe board looks really, really good to me. But I do know the effect of this is my eye is drawn. Very, very nicely done. And so if you want to post something about this and say, whoever this is, can you give us some hints? That would be wonderful. This is another, I really like this one too. It's so cool to have visuals like this that are in there. So these are all cool. Missing the links would have been good to have those. This one up here, you can actually highlight that and then turn the highlight off. And that might be a nicer way to present this. But this one's really nicely done for rating. And this one in particular, showing what's happening down below, is a very, very telling, very, very good, very, very good one. And although it's showing it for a train, right? This is for a train track. It's the idea is the same everywhere where you're putting a load on the ground. Just so happens that a train track puts an incredibly high concentrated load that moves onto a very small piece of ground. So that's why those ties are there and all this kind of stuff happens. This one's also done in a way that's very, very nice to see and very visually pleasing to the eye. So you can maybe look at some of these, and one of the things that I note that is that the images are squared off and these are rounded, and that seems to make a nice presentation. One thing that you might make this one better would be to put these ones also in the middle, called middle justified. So you could maybe think about doing that on this one to get it to look better. But this is just really, again, a nice presentation. I think part of what's good about this are these colors are in the same range, right? I see a lot of these browns and yellow is in here. I see them in here. I see them in here. I don't see them here, but the outline color is repeated. So these are some of the things that you can do. And if you become a graphic artist, you learn the science behind this. I have a friend whose daughter became a graphic artist, and she was doing calculus to determine proper font size on the layout of what she was doing. There's actually calculus involved. So there's science to doing this. I don't know the science. Some people either know the science or are just talented. I don't know which is the case here, but it looks nice. Here's another one that just looks very, very nice. Just well laid out. I like using the comment box for this. I like using this here. Again, just you can look at this and just see that the layout is pleasing to the eye. This one has some open spaces here and here, and it makes me wonder if there was something missing that they were supposed to look at. Now, I happen to know, okay, well, this is pretty cool. They hit the three things that I was really looking for. And so, no, but this layout makes my eyes actually draw to the empty spots instead of to the spots that maybe would bring my eye to better attention. So this one, maybe the fact that it's so tight over here with a lot of room over here, but all the information is good on this one. So that's cool. Here's another one that I'm sorry, it just somehow it just looks good. And this gives such a good visual. When they talk about compaction, you totally get it, right? If this was just here alone, you would wonder, is it, like Hooke's law of gases, or, is it about counting marbles? Is it about density? It's about compaction, so density is in it. This is pretty obvious, and I love the fact that this person's doing geosynchronous, right? Getting his information from the cloud. That's what these are. They're getting the XYZ geodata right there. Really, really cool. And so here's another compaction equipment. So this one's really cool. Looks very nice. Again, maybe just get these centered up vertically. Okay, so here I get 1, 2, 3, 4, but I only see 3. So maybe an additional image would be good on one of these. But this is all good, right? They definitely went in and found those ones that I was looking for. Maybe eliminating these empty ones would have been cool. But this very definitely tells me the story. This one very definitely tells me the story. And this one very definitely tells me the story. So hopefully you start getting the idea that you can go back and look at these critically. Okay? To critique something means that you have a set of standards or goals and you compare against those standards and goals. So some people think critique means to criticize, and and you do, but that term now has a bad connotation that when you criticize something, you're only saying what's wrong with it. You're saying it's not good enough or wrong for some reason. Whereas what the real root is, which is critique, means to compare against a standard. When I give a critique of these, I've got certain standards. And you can tell that standard says there needs to be empty space, but it needs to be done in such a way that I think you do have all of the information. If I were to just look at this as an example, I'd say empty, empty, empty. I wonder if something belonged here because there's empty and empty. So it's very unhomogeneous. Where here there's a lot of empty space, but it's very obviously full and complete. I see 3 things over on the left, and I see 3 images that I can probably match them up with. So you see how that critique sort of happens. And then here's another one that you could go through. Same thing. This is pretty good, but I've got sort of a missing spot down here. Whereas if this was centered up, it might provide a little bit more. I do like the way that these are well annotated. This is very, very well annotated. I really understand sand from the point of view of concrete and crushed stone from the point of view of concrete. Okay, so this is very nice because it brings these materials, which can be found in other end uses, and brings them to concrete. Here's some more. So this is really cool, man. I don't even know what that's showing me, but it makes me want to learn it. I just like it. I want to learn that. Here's a term I don't even know. Makes me want to go learn it. So this is cool, and this is very, very, very well done. That's showing that before it's done. So I like this one, and the use of these comment box things is really pretty cool, right? A lot of times you'll see me using a box and then a line, but this really, really brings it to the fore. This one is cool, but I'm not sure that they did any new work because I remember providing this and I remember providing this. So I'm not sure that these were actually accessed and went and reviewed. The layout here, though, is excellent. I like the way this is laid out, although there are 3 and there's 2. So you might want to show where that 3rd one went. Okay, and so this one is kind of cool too. Found the one graphic, and that's good, showing it all. Now, one of the things I see here that this has been stretched sideways. I can just tell from the way this font looks, and we try to avoid doing that. Okay, because it does. It just looks stretched. And I prefer to be able to see things in their natural state. So if you can avoid stretching, that's a good thing. Okay, this one's kind of cool. I like that. It brings it all together. I like using the different shapes. These are kind of neat. I like them. And this one, I can see that there's some overlap issues. As you can see when I look at it, I wonder if there was something over here that I'm missing. And so this one might have been either chopped into two or just show the image. But this is not showing any kind of original work. It looks like you just cut and pasted the stuff that I gave. So this one is not really helping things out. But then I go, oh, well, look at that. And look at that. There's some real good new information. So, yeah, you went and saw the Google slides that I had. I'm not positive that this link was followed or this link was followed. Let's see if it shows up in here. No, that went to a VMware.
See China before communism.
That one's going to something cool. So that one's cool. So this is good, but there's a few things. This little overlap here, this overlap here. I'd like to see more of the original work on. And do check your links. Sometimes you can accidentally click the wrong one and put it in there. This one got stretched. This one got stretched. This one got stretched. See how hard it is to really view those. So that's just a little bit of information that you can go back to. And here's some more. You can see that this person has a style, and that's cool. If you have a continuous style throughout your presentation, nice. People get the idea of what to look for and what to look at. This is cool because it's sort of tic-tac-toe, 1, 2, 3, 4, but they're offset, right? They're not all lined up right perfectly with each other. It's okay if they're not all exactly the same sizes. It sort of gives me a nice view. So that's kind of, I like that. The colors work well. We got the keywords. This one looks good. Now, this one again, you know, in this case, it's sort of working. It's sort of working, right? Because of the way this is cut off and the way this is looking, it's actually not bad. And I have had some graphic art students that really understand that things can overlap and you don't need stuff around. So for some reason this is working, but again, I'm just getting the Google slide in here, and it'd be nice to have some of these other links in. And this one has been stretched a little bit. That one is just plain good looking. I don't know what you guys think, but it's good. It's so pleasing to the eye that you want to sit there. Oh man, I want to read this. I want to do more. I want to get into it and look. And again, I can't teach that to you, but maybe through assimilation and looking at other people's work, we can get some hints on how that works. But this is so cool. Look at how well this is laid out. Those are the joists. That's the subfloor. That's the underlayment. There's the actual surface. Anatomy of flooring right there. Right? Types of underlayments. You know, what's that vapor barrier about? Flooring options. So this just totally lines up with this. So this one is key, and there are some very specific things you can find. Anatomy of flooring. There's the image. Vapor barrier. There's the image. Underlayment. There's the image. Now the only thing that could maybe make this better is some smaller text identifying, you know, something about this, giving some synthesis to this, flooring anatomy. All of these layers may be present, but some could be missing, such as vapor barrier, right? Vapor barrier prevents water from the ground ingressing into your workspace and ruining your actual floor material. So a couple little things like that. But then here's another one that just looks so nice. So good. Here's another one. This one really says it too. And this one's got some really nice work that goes along with it here. This is maybe just a hair too small. There was room to make this a little bit bigger. But this one is so cool because we've got this image, and then here's that text I was talking about. Okay? And then this is talking about, so this one really shows how you can really do some good annotations to go with this. Now they're just really, really nice looking. These are just really, really good. And look at this image here. Does that just tell the whole story? It's great. Okay. And then here's some of that floor slabbing detail work. Okay. Heated flooring systems. That's really cool. And look, here you're seeing a stem wall with like a slab on grade foundation. And this is just really cool. It really shows it. Flooring insulation. This one's really nice. This is cool because this is saying this belongs to both of these. And there's some annotation with it. This is a nice technique here. Very, very nice technique. So there we go. And I'm just going to buzz through some of these other ones. Really, really looking nice. So, you know, I'm seeing good work. So much good work in this class. Okay, so there we go. So that's what I wanted to go through. No, I'm in the that I don't even know why that was saying that because that's tomorrow. So there we go. That was just a little bit of a look through the great work that is being presented by everybody in the class. Keep it up, but do get some good ideas from these. Okay? It's always good to look at others. One sign of professionalism is that your work is of a visual presentation level that other people want their work to be like yours. And that doesn't mean that you know they should be copying you or whatever, but if you have a style and a way of doing work and a way of presenting your work that other people want to emulate, that's one sign of professionalism. The next sign is that you help people get it. That if one of those was yours and somebody asks for, you know, how do you do that? How do you get there? What did you learn? That you're free with your information. That's another part of professionalism. So it's doing your work in such a way that others would be pleased to have theirs look like yours. And the other part is doing your work in such a way that others are happy to ask you for help to make theirs look like yours. Those are two signs of professionalism that I think are really, really, really good. Okay, that's what I had for the class and the lecture today. Are there any questions or comments about that? Yes, Nazma, go ahead.
Um, I don't know whether I am supposed to ask this during this class or not. But first, I noticed on your slides it says Design 300. Uh, I thought like today was the lecture for 12 o'clock for 301.
Yeah, I made a mistake on that. I put
Hmm.
it on the wrong one. If you see,
Oh, okay.
I actually announced it to the wrong class, which I do
Okay, it's okay.
often. So I had to move my 300 lecture. So my 301 lecture is actually at normal time.
Okay,
So sorry
okay.
about that. I posted that one to the wrong Canvas account, which
No
which
problem.
which I do occasionally. I get these classes mixed up a lot when I get busy. So sorry
And
about
also,
that.
it's okay. And also, I wanted to ask, are you gonna explain the midterm for the 301? Because I noticed there's a midterm.
Yes, I will,
Okay,
and I went over it on Tuesday, which
okay,
again I also forgot to post until yesterday,
okay,
but it's been
okay,
posted. But yes, I'll be going over that one again also.
okay. No problem. And one last question.
Yep.
In regards of the grading, I have few of them in the late submittal. Did I not get any grade
Oh,
on
you
it?
will. You will.
Okay,
I just have to
I'm
get
just
to them.
okay,
so,
okay. I
so yeah. So
appreciate you.
anybody who's got one in the late area, I get to them when I'm able to.
Yes.
Normally not till the end, but many people I've given allowances to for being late because of their own circumstances,
Yeah.
and I get to them at
Okay.
some point. And then it'll show up as the grade will actually show up on the week that it's graded for. I don't post the points in the late one. I actually go back to your other one and put it in there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Cool.
So I'll see you at 1 o'clock,
Okay,
Tony.
sounds good. And
Definitely.
then that will be the recording for today.